So let me start with a question. What's the number one thing Christian parents are afraid of? I think it's what if my kids grow up and walk away from their faith?
Yeah, absolutely.
That fear is everywhere. You see it in books. You'll hear it in sermons. You feel it in quiet conversations between parents. And if we're being honest, even in a house where one of us is a pastor, that thought crosses our minds more than sometimes.
Yeah, same. Because every parent wants their kid to love Jesus. But nobody hands you a manual on this stuff, and says, here, this is exactly how it happens.
Right. And if you're a Christian parent, sometimes the pressure feels even heavier. You think, are we praying enough? Should we be doing family devotions every night? Are we messing this up?
And the truth is, I think most families are just doing their best.
That's why today we want to talk honestly about raising kids with a healthy faith. Healthy. Not a perfect faith, not a forced faith, but a faith that has room to grow. And we're going to say up front that we're still figuring this out too. We are struggling in this area. A lot of this is aspirational too. And we're just finding grace somewhere in the middle of all of the chaos. So we're Larry and Brittney, and this is Holy Chaos. So last episode, we talked about parenting in general, the good, the hard, the hilarious. And today we want to talk about something a little more specific. How do you raise kids with a healthy faith? And before we go any further, we should probably say something up front. We're not experts. Yes, I'm a pastor, but that doesn't mean our home runs like a perfectly oiled little discipleship factory. There are nights when family prayer happens. There are nights when it absolutely does not. There are seasons that we do really well with family devotions, and there are seasons where bedtime just turns into an emotional triage and everyone is exhausted. Perfect example, I bought a great, wonderful, beautiful Lenten family devotional. It's still in the shrink wrap on my bedside table. That's as far as it's gotten. Your folks were visiting as Lent began. I went out of the country for 11 days.
Evie had one of her episodes again in the middle of all of that.
Yeah, our youngest got sick. Our oldest had the flu. So we're going to play
the chaos is real.
We're going to play some catch up. It's a great devotional. Darkest Night, Brightest Day, it's called. So it's got devotions leading into Easter and then some after. So we're just going to pick up midway through Lent here, and we're going to do that as a family, and then we'll do the Easter season part of it. Point being, sometimes it's just your best effort.
Exactly. We struggle with rhythms just like everybody else. We forget, we get busy, we get tired. And sometimes the most spiritual thing that happens in our house is just a quick, Jesus, help me prayer, when someone's melting down.
Yeah.
But if you're listening, hoping for the perfect blueprint, sorry, we don't have one.
We ain't got it.
But we do have a few convictions and rhythms that we try to hold on to.
So the biggest one for us is this. Faith is normal life. It's not a separate category of life. And something we try to model for our kids. Our faith is not something that we turn on for church. We try to talk about faith the same way we talk about everything else in life, that it's normal. It comes up naturally. We talk about God when something beautiful happens. We talk about prayer when someone is anxious. We talk about Jesus when we see forgiveness play out in real life. We really try to make sure that faith isn't a performance in our house. It's a conversation.
And that means we try to be honest. We talk about our doubts. We talk about our struggles. We talk about times when following Jesus is hard. We want to see our kids see that faith is real, not just something that adults pretend to have figured out.
Yeah. For us in that realness, there is one rhythm that is basically non-negotiable in our house. That's Sunday morning worship. And we just treat it as part of the fabric of our lives, not because I'm a pastor, but because we want church to feel normal and central.
Right. We want our kids to see the church as family, not as a program that they attend occasionally.
Yeah, and that looks a little different in our house with me being a pastor. Like
Definitely.
I take off in the morning by myself, and you're left with the chaos of getting 3 kids ready for church. Thankfully, we're part of a multi-site church. And there's several options available there depending on what kind of week you all are having and what's going on. That you can go to our original campus, which is closer to our house. You can come out to the campus that I serve. Sometimes church in your jammies is the best you all do.
Especially when Evie's in one of her episodes, for sure.
Right. The point is that's non-negotiable. Even if it's church and jammies watching a live stream, that is non-negotiable. And there's research that backs this up. The Fuller Youth Institute has studied hundreds of youth group graduates, and they have found something really surprising, that more so than participation in a great youth ministry or children's church, one of the largest indicators of a faith that endures into a young adult's college years is participation in intergenerational worship. That means kids and teenagers sitting in the main worship service with adults. That's a more strongly leads them being more strongly connected to a lasting faith in college than almost any other activity there is. The number one predictor is a family that talks about their faith and practices their faith at home. But above participation in youth group, which we have put so much in the Western church on great youth ministry, and I'm all for great student and children ministry. I'm all about it. I did student ministry for a long time. I think it's really important, but more important than that was participation in intergenerational worship. In other words, kids who grow up seeing the church as a whole community tend to have a faith that sticks longer. And that's one of the reasons that we really value our kids being in, quote, big church.
Right. So our oldest actually likes kids' church right now. Our middle prefers to sit with us in adult worship. She does not care for the kids' church. But honestly, we love when they're in the main service with us, watching them sing, watching them listen, and watching them see people of all ages worship together.
Yeah. And watching them work through as kids what boredom in the middle of a service looks like. Like nothing challenges me more as a preacher than seeing my own kids bored during that. But we just think that's really important. So even though like we have great children's church opportunities, and like we said, our oldest
church does that so well,
and our oldest really enjoys that. There's a balance to that for us. Like there's a rhythm of participation in both, but we really value them being in worship with us. And the main point of that is Sunday morning is the non-negotiable piece of that. So at the same time, we try not to make their entire life revolve around church activities. It's something that I really try to be mindful of as a pastor. My whole life revolves around church activities, but that doesn't mean that it should be that way for you all. So I don't expect them to be at everything. Sunday morning is a given, but things like youth group and kids groups and VBS or extra programs, those are invitations, not mandates.
Right. We want them to own their faith, not feel like something's being forced on them. So we invite, we encourage, but we don't pressure them into every church thing available.
Yeah. And like we've had some conversations with our oldest recently because she's going to be rising out of children's ministry into youth ministry. And it seems very clear to me she wants to go to youth group on Wednesdays. But that's not a forced thing at all. And if there's a week that she's like, I don't feel like going to youth group this week, that's That's fine. And like extra services, like as we're, getting deeper into Lent right now, like we'll have Holy Week services with Maundy Thursday, Good Friday, things like that. If they want to go to those, great. That's not something that I force. But there's a lot of give and take with that. But I kind of feel like Joshua with the Sunday morning thing. Like, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. That means we're going to worship on Sunday. We can negotiate the rest of that
Right.
as we go through. So we just try not to pressure them into everything that's available. One thing that we do encourage strongly is serving. Our youngest isn't there yet. Our older two, they do really well with this. They love jumping in and finding ways to serve at church, and they really pay attention to those kind of things that are going on, and they're finding their own things. Like, I've taken both of them out with me to the campus that I primarily serve. They do a massive food distribution on the second Saturday of each month. And I've taken both of the olders out there to see. I think it's really important for them to see what service in the church looks like. And they're finding their own ways to jump in. They recently helped serve with us at Night to Shine. Our church partners with the Tim Tebow Foundation for Night to Shine. And it may be a top 10 memory for me of all time. Like all four of us on the red carpet cheering for the kings and queens as they came in, and like it was, there's so many things. You remind me of this often, that kids are inherently self-centered, and yeah, and they just are.
They are. They are.
That was a completely non-self-centered moment for our two older girls. Like, none of that could be about them. In fact, it was a sacrifice. They were, in uncomfortable dress clothes. Our oldest decided that she was going to wear heels, even though we told her not to. And so her feet were killing her. They both lost their voices doing that. It was 100% about others. And we let them know that when they were doing that, they were serving God and doing it. And it was a great thing. It was amazing watching them step into that, not because we told them they had to, but we invited them into it. They saw the opportunity. They wanted to do it. Our church actually did 2 nights of Night to Shine. Mm-hmm. Our oldest, voice was toast, feet hurt. She chose not to go back the second night. Our middle did. That's where the invitational piece came in. They're finding their own way in that.
Right. I think service changes the way that kids see faith. It moves faith from something you believe to something that you live.
Yeah. And I think it's an important thing for them to keep seeing and participating in. We donate to the church's thrift store a lot, and that's not just because of your minimalism. Our girls know that the type of thrift store it's going to, it supports the ministry of our church. And if a homeless person comes into one of our thrift stores and they need clothes, they're going to give them clothes. And that's part of our participation in that. So we're just trying to give them all sorts of opportunities to serve and find what fits for them. Our oldest in particular, we've talked about how much she loves performance and music. After she was part of the all district honors choir this year, I asked her if she wanted to sing with me on Christmas Eve. Ended up being both of them. And that was a great service opportunity for them. That was also out of their comfort zone, standing up in front of everyone, singing to open the Christmas Eve service. But yeah. Another thing we try to do is connect faith to things that our kids already love. Even if you and I don't understand the things that they love. I'm talking about anime.
Right. Like, I have tried to start kind of diving into that world, because I want to know the things, that they're really, putting themselves into.
Yeah. They're really deep in anime right now. And like, listen, this may be a parental disclaimer for people listening. There are all sorts of different types of anime out there, and some are kid appropriate, some are not. You do have to know enough to,
yes, absolutely,
to keep up on it. There's, so the ones our girls are watching are fairly family friendly, as they go. But especially our oldest, obsessed with anime.
Yes.
Obsessed. And then I recently found something called the Hero Bible. It's basically Bible stories told in a graphic novel style that feels a lot like anime. Even the way the stories are written and the facial expressions feels very anime like. And they got really excited when I showed them that Bible. Like I had to order it, and it's been incredible.
Yeah, like they were truly excited about it. And we have our girls read for 30 minutes each night as part of their just nightly rhythm. And Selah has been grabbing that each night for her 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I've just thought that's really cool.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it in the last episode. Like you and I were just having a simple conversation about what we were going to do for our Lenten rhythms. And our oldest was listening to us have that. Again, that's about normalizing faith conversations in your home. We were talking about it, and our oldest said, so if I read a chapter of the anime Bible every day, that would be a good thing for Lent. And we're like, yep, keep it cool,
Yes.
Mom and Dad. Don't overreact. Be cool. So it's just been cool seeing them. No pressure, no assignment, just exploring the stories. And I don't get the anime world. But I love that they're getting into the stories of Scripture in a way that really connects with them. And moments like that remind us that sometimes the best thing we can do is just put good resources within reach of our kids and let their curiosity do the rest. Our middle has especially been diving into some of that and asking me questions about stuff that she's reading. It's just curiosity.
I love it. I love it. So some rhythms that we try imperfectly. We do try to create some rhythms in our home, you know. And one thing that we're trying this year is a Lent and Easter devotional together.
We just got to get it out of the shrink wrap. We'll see how consistently we go from here. But we're trying.
We're trying.
And I think we do a fairly good job of marking the seasons of the church calendar in meaningful ways. But the ways we participate in Easter, we've always done really well at the Advent wreath liturgy. We do that together as a family. We have an Advent wreath on our table, and we do readings that the girls can participate in, and we light the candle together. We sing O Come, Emmanuel. I even several years ago, when they were really little, taught them to sing O Come, Emmanuel in Hebrew, and they still remember that. And
Yes.
that's a marker for our family of our collective faith as followers of Jesus in this house, as we mark the days of Advent together. And we talk about the church calendar. They know we are in the season of Lent right now, and that's a preparation for Easter. And those seasonal markers have been surprisingly powerful. They create memories. They anchor faith. So we have a couple of resources that we can hook you up with in the show notes for like the Advent liturgy and stuff like that. There's a great resource from Seedbed called Living Room Liturgy that I've pulled a lot of stuff from. Of course, there's the Lenten devotional that we're going to do our best to be consistent about from here on out, and the Hero Bible, of course. Here's the bottom line. If you're a parent trying to build faith rhythms at home, here's a few things we suggest. Not rules, just helpful ideas based on what we've shared. First, make church normal. Not optional, not rare, just a part of life. Even when that means that all Hades is breaking loose in your house and you can't get it together to get out the door to go to worship together as a family, make it normal enough that you're going to sit and watch a live stream together. And you do that really well. Like I know when our youngest is having one of her sickness episodes or whatnot, you still prioritize that, because I'll come home from church and you'll talk about y'all sat around and watched worship, and Yeah, so make it normal, not optional, not rare, just a part of life. Second, talk about faith naturally, not just when you do devotions, but talk about your faith and let your kids hear you talking about it. And let them see your faith. Admit when you're struggling. Pray out loud. Let them hear the "Oh Jesus, help me" moments. And look for those cultural bridges, books, shows, hobbies, stories. Faith connects to everything. And then finally, give them chances to serve. Service helps their faith become real.
And maybe the most important one, don't panic if it's messy. Faith formation is a long story.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good word. Like, we feel that pressure as parents of wanting our kids to follow Jesus. But we talk at our church a lot about playing the long game with someone. That's true with our kids too. Like, they're going to see these normal rhythms in the way that we imperfectly live out our faith in real ways. And that's going to make a difference. So don't try to overproduce it, overforce it. Just be real about your faith. It's a long story, as Brittney just said, but it is a huge responsibility.
Oh, definitely.
In our faith tradition, we practice infant baptism, and all three of our girls were baptized as infants. And I'd been a pastor long before we had kids, and I presided at baptism and given the vows to parents many times. Never did it become more real to me than when you and I were standing there taking those vows for our oldest. Like the vow, like do you take it as your responsibility to live a life before this child that becomes the gospel? I was like, what? Like, it's something I think about a lot. Like, I don't want to overdo it because their dad's a pastor and they're going to feel forced into it. But I've made a vow. We've made a vow with all three to live a life before our children that becomes the gospel, so that they can come to follow Jesus in real and tangible ways for themselves too. And even if infant baptism isn't part of your understanding, that you still feel the weight of that. So don't let it overwhelm you. Faith formation's a long story. The truth is, you can't manufacture faith in your kids. You just can't.
No.
You can't manufacture it in anybody. I've been a pastor for almost 20 years. I've tried. You can't. You can model it. You can nurture it. You can invite your kids into it. But ultimately, this is something that God grows.
So if you're trying, if you're praying, if you're pointing them towards Jesus, you're doing more than you think.
Parenting with faith is not about perfection. It's about presence and a lot of grace for your kids and for yourself. And at the end of the day, raising kids with faith isn't about creating perfect spiritual routines. We've already told you that we haven't figured that out. It's about creating a home where faith is normal, where prayer happens sometimes around the dinner table and sometimes in the middle of a meltdown, where church is a part of life, where serving others matters, where kids see parents who are still learning to follow Jesus too.
And if your rhythms aren't perfect, if your family devotions don't happen every night, if some weeks feel more chaotic than spiritual, you're not alone. Faith grows in ordinary homes.
Say that again.
Not perfect ones. Faith grows in ordinary homes, not perfect ones. And
I know with this rhythm of doing this podcast every 2 weeks and what our focus is, this is not the last word on this. Because raising your kids in faith is a huge thing. Take this as the introductory conversation. So we just want to thank you so much for listening to Holy Chaos. And if this episode encouraged you, it would mean a lot to us if you'd give the show a follow, leave a rating, share it with another parent who might need to hear it. And we'll also provide, like I said, links in the show notes to some of the resources we talked about in this episode, the Lenten devotional, the anime Bible, stuff like that.
Yeah. And if you're enjoying the podcast, please make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next episode.
So here's the thing. Parenting, marriage, faith, family life, it's messy. It's also beautiful. Most of the time, it's a little chaotic. Or maybe a lot of chaotic. Thanks for listening. We're Larry and Brittney. We'll see you next time on Holy Chaos.